Hello lovely people. Yes, it's me, Nicola, back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. It's been a busy couple of days. It's not time for me to draw the prize for the giveaway yet. I only posted that, I think, 2 days ago. I got the date completely wrong. I allowed, I thought, a week for everyone to comment on that vlog. And as it turned out, it was only 6 days, but I can always extend the deadline if necessary. So just want to say thanks again for all your support, and it's been really heartening seeing all the lovely comments that you leave on the vlogs. Not just the last one, but all of them. So I've got a little bit of sewing to show you and a finished object. That ball of grey spindle yarn, clearance yarn from out of deep stash, has been converted into another Nottawasaga cowl. So this is the same cowl pattern I used with the Yerbo cookie that I bought from Hobie. I don't know if that's exactly how you say it. But it's a really, really great pattern. The back of it goes to the back of the neck and then you bind it off here. The front of it goes further into a V with a neat garter stitch edging. And I remembered to do what I said I was going to do. I remembered to switch one of the needle tips out for a smaller one when I got to the flat part. And I think it worked out pretty well. Yep, no rowing out this time. So when I made the last one, I noticed that when I was going round and round in circles, that my tension was lovely and even as usual. But when I went to the knitting and purling part, my pearls were looser, which is pretty common for me. It's probably because I'm knitting continental. I didn't used to have that problem when I was throwing English style. So what I did, I knitted the majority of it on 5.5mm needles, and then when I got to the flat part, I put a 5mm tip on the end of the cord that I was using in my right hand to do the pearl rows, and it worked great. Go me. So that's awesome. It's done, and this yarn is so lovely and squishy. I absolutely loved knitting this because it felt so nice. It's 100% acrylic, cheap as chips, but feels great. And I popped it on and it feels great around the neck as well. It did come out a little bit bigger than the other one. I noticed the last yarn I used for this pattern, the yarn was a bit thin for a worsted weight, but the cowl turned out the right size, 9.5 inches across or 19-inch circumference. This one is about 1/2 inch wider because the yarn is so much more lofty and squishy, but it still fits great. And yeah, I could easily make more of these. Really nice. So that's that. The other thing I've been playing with the last couple of days is a cell phone pouch. I wanted to use more of the jeans denim to make a simple pouch, just nothing complicated, right? Just a thing you can slide your phone in, a magnetic snap at the top just so it doesn't fall out, and a long strap. And I decided to make the strap long enough to be a crossbody, and I made that out of the denim too. I could have easily gone and bought some webbing for that, like a 1/2 inch webbing would have worked, but the whole point is to use up the denim, right, and use up stash and work from stash. So buying more webbing is expensive. especially at the local store near me. So, yep, I had to cut enough 2-inch strips of denim for eight 48-inch long straps. That's a lot. And not only do you have to cut the 2-inch strips, you then have to fold it into 4 and stitch 2 rows along it. And I think, oh, that just took so long. I did half of it before dinner last night and the other half after dinner, and it just seemed endless. So what I decided to do, this was my prototype. Stop talking about it, Nicola, and show them what it's all about. Okay, so this was the first one. It's a simple bag, right? Just a rectangle. I started out with making it 8.5-inch cut. Yeah, 8.5-inch cut length, 5.25 width, because I wanted to end up 4.5 wide. And then I did little teeny tabs out of more denim. And for the linings, my thought was find fabrics I have in my quilt cotton stash that have a nice little interesting thing that's a good size that I could cut out and use the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold to apply it to the front of the denim. And because it's Ultra Hold, I don't need to stitch around it. With hindsight, it probably would have looked cuter with some machine sewing around it, you know, just almost like scribbling with the darning foot on. Not exactly on the edge of the applique, but maybe just sort of adding some dimension to it. But too late now, because I've made all these things. So this one has a cute toucan on the front and the toucan fabric on the inside. And magnetic snap, 1/2-inch D-rings, 1/2-inch swivel hooks. And that's the strap. Very simply turned over through the D-ring and sewn across. And I have to say, I had a lot of interesting times inventing this bag, because I initially thought I'll sew the outer 3 sides, sew the inner 3 sides, put one inside the other, sew around the top. Oh no, that was a bad idea, because that meant that I was then sewing around the top of the bag on my machine, trying to incorporate the D-ring tabs in the seam, which originally I thought were going to be jean seams. I was going to use jean seams, and I thought that's a fantastic idea. Just cut the seam off a pair of jeans, cut it into 2-inch lengths, boom. Too bulky, far too bulky. What I ended up doing was cutting 1-inch strip, and I cut enough for all of the bags I wanted to make, which was 8 total. So I did 1 long strip, folded the ends in by 1/4 inch, and sewed down both sides. So the whole D-ring strip is only at maximum 2 layers. So that wasn't so bad. But yes, I ended up unpicking the whole first version and starting again. I did rip the fabric once, but I managed to incorporate the ripped bit into the seam allowance, and so you can't see it. It's all hidden away. When I slipped my phone into this, it was a little short. Like, the phone is right up against the bottom of the magnetic snap. And I know other people have bigger phones than I do. So that's why I decided to then make the other 7 that I planned to make 1/2 inch longer. So I cut it. Okay, I just checked my notes. I cut the fabric 5.25 by 9.5. That way, there's lots of room for when the phone goes in and it's not interfering with the snap. So in the end, the method I used was sew the lining and the exterior together at the top edge, do the same with the other ones, put them right sides together, sew around with a turning gap, turn it through. And yeah, not even attempting to top stitch because it's such a narrow opening that I think I'd messed it up. And it looks fine. So as I say, that was the first one with the toucan. And then I made 7 more. This one has a camper van on it, and it has camper van fabric inside. And then we've got a fox with the fox fabric inside. And I've got a Scooby-Doo, because who doesn't love Scooby-Doo, right? Maybe it's my generation thing. A lot of people probably never saw Scooby-Doo because they're too young. I just put a random similarly coloured fabric in that one because the piece of Scooby-Doo fabric I had was so small there wasn't enough to cut a lining. But I do love Scooby-Doo. I did a butterfly one with the butterfly fabric in it. Oh, and I just adore this one. It says someday. The writing says someday, and it's a little Vespa. This fabric is so cute. I used just a coordinating pale pink with that one. But the fabric is adorable. Last year I bought quite a bit of this one. It had Vespas and bicycles on it, and I bought 3 coordinates. I think there was a white, a blue, and a pink. And I still haven't made anything super special with it. I still want to. I did a crab one, and that has the sort of coordinate. This is from the same group of fabrics. It's got sea stars on it. And then this one has a camper or caravan on it. So cute. But again, I just used the generic lining fabric because the print on this, the size of it, the scale of it, that's the word. That's the word, Nicola. The scale of the print just would have been wasted inside. So I used just a regular lining in that. So I wonder whether that needs to be a tutorial. I could do a tutorial for those bags. That way you could make it without making all the mistakes I made the first time around. I do have an idea in mind for what I want to make next. I saw a really cute little dog poop bag. I think I was talking about dog poop bags before, wasn't I? I'm pretty sure I mentioned those last time. But when I was on one of my Facebook groups yesterday, darn, where I can't remember which one it is because I'm in a few, but one of the people there linked to something that they make, and it's a little bag for holding the roll of dog poop bags. It had a grommet on one side, it had the swivel hook on the other side, and a teeny tiny little gathering cord with a cord stopper on. And it was super cute. I think what made it extra special was the print of fabric they'd used, because it was really cool. And I thought, hold on a second, I've got cord stops, I've got grommets, just need some either paracord or some elastic cord. So what I did earlier is I texted my son as he's over there, over that side of the city, and I said, would you like an excuse to drop into Princess Auto and see if they've got paracord that's less than 30 seconds of an inch? Because online that seems to be all they have. But if I could find some that's 3mm, which is about 1/8 of an inch, that would be perfect to go through my little cord stops, and I could start making those. Annoyingly, I am going to have to rip back probably 4 rounds of Mr. Stitch's Adventure Scarf. I was showing it to my friends this morning when they were over for coffee, and I was looking at it and I was explaining what the different colours were for, and I thought, wait a second, I haven't done a red stripe for Monday's blood work. I completely missed it out. Oh, so I don't have to, but I'm going to rip out 4 of my rounds and redo it so that I'm not missing that red round. Also, I want to come up with another new yarn project. I'm really enjoying the fact that I've actually used some older stash out of the yarn collection in the last couple of weeks. 2 cowls is great. So I think I need to start digging a little more. Mr. Stitches is still managing to make it to the gym. We're a hair over halfway through his treatment and he's still wanting to go to his class on Thursdays, which is awesome. And he did get told by his doctor today that he's doing really well compared to a lot of people. His symptoms of radiation sickness, can I call it that? I don't know. But the side effects or effects of the treatment are kicking in less severely with him, and I think it's probably because he started out so well, like so healthy to start with, apart from the tumor, of course. So he's still going to the gym. He's still lifting a few weights in the family room now and again, and he's been given some free samples of something called Sperry, which is a plant-based energy drink, like meal replacement drink. I guess it's a bit like Ensure, but you know, plant-based, and it doesn't look like it's loaded with glucose syrup, which is a good thing. So he's going to try the samples and probably go to the pharmacy where he's seen them on the shelf and buy a ton more of them, because they'd be handy to have in his bag when he goes for chemo treatments and he's sitting there for a while and might need something to eat, especially if he's got to take a couple of pills. And he's also been given some extra things to help with coating the inside of his mouth, which will make the nerve endings less sensitive when he wants to eat. So that's awesome too, because eating is hard right now. Okay, I'm going to stop waffling on, and I'm going to have another little play with that new idea I want to try. It was an absolutely beautiful sunny day today. Mr. Stitches and I got outside for a walk this morning before anything else because it was just too nice to be inside all day. It was still a pretty late start though, because I didn't get out of bed till after 9 o'clock. I went to bed too late last night. I ended up doing a bit of video editing and other stuff on my phone and that sort of thing, and it was like, oh, why do I stay up so late? It's not good. I don't know if I've told you, but I did pull back Mr. Stitch's Adventure Scarf and I added in the row that I had missed, and I feel a lot better for having done so. I know it would have bugged me. I shall have to pull that out and show you an update soon on that one. I'm really looking forward to using the rest of the Heartland yarn in something though. I think there's going to be quite a bit of it left once I've made a scarf. I'm not sure how long it's going to be when we get to the end of his treatment and then we just get to like the waiting period. But obviously I will just keep adding to it to make it a wearable length. But then I'm hoping to have lots of it left over for something for me because it's really pretty. I did do a little bit of playtime with my sewing machine today. I made some of these dog poop bag holders. Right. I have to get that right. I looked at a whole bunch of different tutorials on YouTube for different versions of dog waste bag holders, or whatever you want to call them. And there are some which have just a sort of open thing, like a tissue box holder, tissue pack holder. There are some that have a snap closure. There are some that have zippers. And I really didn't know which ones to do. But rather than procrastinate any longer, I thought I'd just make a small batch of these ones here. I should get the fabric out to show you. Hold on. This is a fabric I've had in the stash for a while. I'll try and show you a little bit of it without being too overwhelmingly large. Hold on a minute. So it's a dog themed one, which is rather appropriate for a dog poop bag, isn't it? And it looks like a newspaper. It looks a bit like a printed newspaper with little articles about different dogs. As always, I just used to laugh whenever we got new fabric in at the fabric store and it had writing on it. I always used to check it for typos, because I think a lot of these are printed in, shall we say, non-English speaking countries. The amount of times that there was a typo, fairly frequent. And a lot of these things, they don't make a huge amount of sense. But it's perfect for dog poop bags. Not only are they small, but they're fun. And people probably won't mind if there's a little typo in there somewhere. So this was the one I went with. It's really tiny, but I did ask my friend to check the diameter or the dimensions of a little roll of dog poop bags, and it's like 2.5 inches by 1.5 inches, something like that. Plus, this was a particular tutorial for that very thing by Ravelry Nicolaknits, the same Ravelry Nicolaknits of the tutorial I followed last week for the continuous zipper bags. And they're really, really, really easy, these ones. It's just 2 rectangles of fabric, and the underneath fabric is a little bit bigger, so you get this little border here, so it looks like it has a little accent colour on it. And I put my label on the back on the outside, because I thought if it goes in the inside, no one's going to see it. Plus it's black and white anyway, so it sort of fits. And I incorporated the little clips by using some of the zipper tape that I had to cut off when you're doing the continuous zipper bags. I have a whole little crocheted basket of them right now. Lots of little scraps. All of this, half zippers that have been cut off when I haven't used it, for when I've been making something else. And I would like to do something sort of arty-farty with it, so maybe sew the pieces of zipper onto fabric to make something decorative in a way, but also they do make good little tabs. So I ended up making just chain sewing, batch sewing, a group of 7. So I think they're kind of fun. The one downside to this design, simple and fun as it is, because you're not using any zipper or any snaps, it's very minimalistic. The downside is it's only really good for one thing. If you decided that it was a fun little thing to keep something else in, like a little bit of makeup or coins or whatever, they're just going to fall out. And so I think that it would be more fun to make something that has a dual purpose. I also made a vinyl version, which actually I think it's lovely. And I think what I should do is I should make a bunch of little vinyl things with a zipper, because I think these would be fun to make and sell. This was so much quicker because there's no lining. And of course, you don't have to worry about finishing the edge because it doesn't fray. The boxy bottoms make it look kind of cute. So now that I'm itching to start another yarn project, I think it's going to be the somewhat delayed granny square pants idea. I did start something like this. I think it was it Vlogtober when I started getting all excited about granny square pants? Or it could have been November. And I pulled out all my DK yarn and I put strands of it together, and I didn't care about what colours, didn't care too much about what colours went together. I was just using a large hook and 2 strands and just crocheting a square and not changing each round. And I ended up turning those squares into cat blankets for the SPCA, which are still sitting in my car because I haven't been down to the SPCA. I always seem to find myself in the area in the morning, and I'm pretty sure they don't open to the public till midday because mornings are for cleaning. However, I really still want to do this. So what I've done, I noticed when that new granny square yarn came out, it was called All-in-One Granny, oh, hang on a minute, it's on the pattern. It's called Red Heart All-in-One Granny Square. And it's the yarn that supposedly is dyed exactly in the right length colour runs to make a granny square without having to change colours, cut yarn, join a new yarn and weave in all the ends. Sorry, coughing fit then. What was I saying? Oh yes. So this granny square yarn looked like an incredible idea. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can get it in Canada yet. Hopefully they'll bring it in because I'd like to play with it. But mixed reviews online. Most people are finding it's a real struggle to get the colours to land in the right place. They also don't like being tied to Red Heart's idea of what is the perfect granny square. However, I did print this pattern out because it's basically exactly what I wanted to make back in November. So they look like this, the pants look like this, which is exactly what my vision was. That's exactly what I dreamt about when I got all excited about the idea of granny square pants. So here's the model wearing the size small. There are only 2 sizes. Extra small through medium is supposed to fit hip 32 through 42. I'm near the top end of that range, and I'm not sure yet if that's going to be the sort of size I'm wanting to make. I don't want them to be too voluminous. I mean, I want them to be fitting but not tight. And the larger range of sizes is large through 2XL and is 44 to 52 hip. So I'm hoping I can get away with the smaller range because fewer squares to crochet. The smaller size uses 42 squares and the larger size uses 56. It's free to download from Yarnspirations. It's called the Crochet Smarty Pants. And the layout is really simple. So much better than what I was trying to do without a pattern. So it's a simple layout of all those squares, plus just a sort of crochet gusset that you add in at the end, just to give you that room where you most need it, if you know what I mean. So what did I do this evening? I came and pulled out my worsted weight yarn. I did consider doing it in DK, and then I thought, no, worsted weight is what I envisioned it in the first place. I just got sidetracked by the thought I needed to burn up a whole bunch of DK stash, but I have a worsted weight stash too. And so I filled this bag. It's a freaking big bag, isn't it? This bag, oh, this is like my favorite thing I've made in, I think, forever. I had a lot of fun making this bag. It's using a I think it was called Cashmere Jacketing. It's a synthetic or rayon blend. I think it's a rayon blend. And it's obviously supposed to emulate a wool coating, but it's plant fiber, maybe some synthetic. And it feels lovely and soft. And I'm not sure if I paid full price for it. I possibly got it as a remnant. But the lining and the massive pumpkin applique was made from scraps of quilt cotton, which I built up. I think probably I built up that pumpkin on an interfacing backing, and I left it all raw edge. I just zigzagged where I was overlaying the strips on top of each other. And I used curtain grommets for the handles. And because where the handles were folded back on each other, it looked a little messy. I made little fabric sleeves to cover up where it looked a little untidy. The lining is the same scrappy fabric. Hard to tell when there's all that yarn in there. I've got some of the Hobby Lobby yarn, which my friend brought back from me from the States a few years ago. So that's all the sort of brown, yellow, orangey shades. There's a little bit of that. I have a couple of blacks in the Bernat Super Value. I have some Craft Smart, which is Michael's. Last time I went into Michael's, it seemed that they didn't have anything called Craft Smart anymore, and I think I have a suspicion they may have rebranded again. Honestly, I really like the Craft Smart. It's cheap, cheaper than the Bernat, cheaper than the Red Heart, and it's soft and it's nice to work with. Dear me, can't win. More Craft Smart in the grey. I have a Red Heart with Love in here. Oh, I love this yarn. No, the orange was the I love this yarn. Literally, that's the name of the brand, or not the brand, the hobby. It was Hobby Lobby I love this yarn. That's what it's called on the label. This is Red Heart with Love, but I love this more than I love that. It's pretty thick for a worsted weight, more of an Aran they call it, and it's a little thicker than these, but it doesn't matter. And then I have another teal one in the Craft Smart, and a pink, bubblegum pink, which is probably also Craft Smart, and an untouched periwinkle. Oh, a big one of yellow. That could be more of the Hobby Lobby stuff. Uh-oh, everything's falling off the table now. Bit more of the Hobby Lobby stuff. This orange, no idea where I got that. This might be a teeny tiny bit of Red Heart Super Saver or something, I don't know. This is probably Craft Smart and more Hobby Lobby. So the little tiny balls will be handy for starting squares. I only need a little bit for the first round of a square, and I'm going to do it properly this time. Unlike last time where I thought, I'll get it done quick. I'll get it done really quick, and then these things will be ready super fast, and then I can wear them, and then didn't like it. So instead of being extremely slapdash, I'm only going to be a little bit slapdash on these now, because it came back and bit me in the you-know-what, because I didn't like what I was doing last time. This time, I'm gonna love it. And I got it all back in the bag without showing you the lining of the bag. Oh, well. This colour, I'm not sure about this colour. It reminds me of baby poop. Does it remind you of baby poop? It's falling all over the place. It's got that sort of yellowy green quality to it. And I have no idea what that is, but it'll probably be fine for a round number 1 on a granny square. I'll have to check for errant balls of yarn after this. So that'll give me something to get started on, won't it? So what does that give me? We've got the languishing whip, which we don't talk about. We've got the scarf whip, which I'm working on like a round or two a day. But this will be my crocheting frantically at home project on the sofa. And in order to have something fun or portable to take out with me, I think I'm going to start another Nottawasaga Buff. The downside to that is the Nottawasaga Buff uses worsted weight yarn, and most of my worsted weight yarn is now in this bag, and it's going to be Granny Square Pants yarn. Oh, I forgot to say, I did weigh it all. It's about 1900 grams, which is probably way more than I'm going to need. I did look at it earlier and I was like, maybe this is an excuse to go back to Michael's and buy more colours. But you know what? This should work. Okay, are you ready? Put your sunglasses on, because I've decided on the yarn for my next Nottawasaga cowl. I'm going to put it into this bag that I made yonks ago, because it's the perfect size for a project, and that's what it was designed for. Are you ready? Neon orange. Not just neon orange, but I also have some neon pink and some neon yellow. I feel like I'm channeling Ross of Smells Like Yarn, who went through a neon phase, maybe still in a neon phase, I don't know. I haven't seen him use it lately, but look at that. Is that insanely bright or what? You know, they're so messy though. I think I'm going to get my, yes, any excuse to get my yarn ball winder out. So I'm really excited about that now. It's wonderful having a stash, isn't it? Just think, in the old days, like when I was knitting a little bit way back in maybe my teens or 20s, you'd go down to the local little wool shop down in the far end of town, and you'd look up a pattern and you decide what to make, and you'd buy the yarn for it, and you'd make it. Hell, I don't think I ever knew what a gauge swatch was in those days. But I would make it, and quite often it didn't come out very wearable. But hey, it was good learning. And then there would be this gap until I was ready to maybe knit again. I didn't have the same sort of craving for it as I do these days. But having a yarn stash is just amazing. You get the urge to make something, and you just go, what can I take off the shelf tonight? here I am the next day again in my camouflaged gear, camouflaged against my crochet blanket, of course. And I am covering up the hair again because it was a mess. I didn't do anything with it this morning because I have a hairdresser's appointment in about half an hour. And I thought I would finish up this video, which is already long enough, with the old haircut. And then next time I start a video, you can see what I got done. I started my super duper bright neon orange Nottawasaga cowl already. I've just done 5 rounds on it, I think. Yeah. So it started. I haven't decided how I'm going to do the striping on it yet, but it'll probably just be a wing it sort of deal, like a lot of the other things I do. Bought myself a bar of chocolate this morning. I haven't bought a bar of chocolate in a really long time. This is called Chocolove. I don't know if you've tried this one, but it's 70%. So anything 70% and above is basically health food, right? Absolutely, Nicola. And the good thing about the dark chocolate is you don't feel, well, I don't feel obliged to eat a whole bar of it at once. I know a lot of people do, but the higher the cocoa content I find, the slower I eat it. So I can just have a couple of squares of it and put it down and wait for the next ones. I did finalize, I think I finalized, but I may yet change my mind again, the design for my business cards. And I think they look kind of cute. I completely changed my mind on what design I was going to put on them. So I was once again playing in Canva, and I think I've finally come to a decision on what I want them to look like. And I should really order them ASAP because I may not want to wait till the end of May to do the summer market. I may want to do a couple of others in the next couple of months before the main market starts. So I'll get this uploaded. Thanks again for watching. Lovely to have you here. Hope you enjoyed the entertainment today. And I'll talk to you again soon. The next video will be the one where I announce the winner for the giveaway. Not sure when that will come out. Today is Saturday, so it will be maybe Tuesday. The light keeps changing on me. Every time I turn my head, the light changes. I've got window behind me, window over there. Anyway, cheers, and I'll see you again soon.